Welcome back. We've just come back from Scotland, so you will have seen the various parts of the Scotland trip. Didn't do a huge amount of filming, so be interesting to see what we get. But we're going to unpack, and boy have we got some unpacking to do. For absolute sure, this is going to be a two-parter, so make sure you come back for part 2. How we're going to break this down is quite simple. What I'm going to do is, when I went, I carried that pack loaded exactly like that. That is how it was when I got back to the car, and I haven't touched it. I also took this pack, I took these bags, I took those boots, that for the GoPro, I took that bag, and I took that box. So I took a lot of stuff. To be fair, it would all pack into quite small things. It's just sort of spread about a little bit. The reason why I took 2 bags and extra kit basically is because before going, the forecast was incredibly windy up high, and therefore we'd be camping in the valley, and we probably wouldn't even get very high if we were even lucky enough to get snow. First of all, I will just thank MSR for the snowshoes. We'll come to those at some point in the video and hopefully get to use them one camp. There just wasn't the snow, you know, to use them, but I took them, I left them in the car. That's another reason for some kit choices that we made. So I think what we'll do is, like I said, we'll do this as a two-parter. Part 1 will be unpacking the main pack, and you will just see what I took. Part 2 will go through everything else, and you'll see what I didn't take, and then we can discuss as we go through everything why I took what I took, and when we're going through the other stuff, we'll discuss why I didn't take that. So I think what we'll do is we will get started, otherwise we're just going to get too waffly. I've also been asked how I store things and put things away in here, so you know, maybe we can cover that as well. Basically, I've added this bit of polycarbonate stuff here, whatever it's called. So I've added another box there. I've tied it up over here, so all my stoves kind of go, you know, over there and shoes. So, you know, maybe we'll do another video in here, you know, another time. These boxes here, obviously they're empty. Lee, thank you, I got those. I didn't take them this trip, but I got them. And basically we're going to unpack, and everything that's in here is going to just be cluttered up on there, or you know, draped around, and we will probably just end up draping stuff, and then we'll unpack, you know, the other stuff. Some bits in the second part might very well be bits that I took. I think because I've got so much here, I'm just going to unpack the pack first, and then we can go through, you know, other bits, maybe something that, you know, stuff that I was wearing and such like. So anyway, I'm going to start unpacking, otherwise we'll be like 5 minutes before we've even started. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll start on the outside. So I took the HMG Windrider 770 because I wanted as big a pack as I could take to get everything in. I'll just show you, it's about 16 kilograms. Well, it was 16 kilograms when it was fully loaded, so that's, I'm not quite sure what you can see. I maybe ought to take a picture. So what you've got, I've got snow pegs here, I've got water bottles, I've got normal pegs here, I've got a big foam mat here, which I think is well worth it, and I've got 2 bits of Z-light. It's 1 Z-light, but I've cut it down. Waterproof trousers down there, crampons in there, didn't use the crampons. And then on the other side, I've got the, I took the Hilleberg Namage 2, so on that side I've got a shovel, and I've got the Namage 2 poles, map and compass. So, and we've just got, some people don't like a load of stuff, you know, strapped to the outside. You know, some people don't like a load of stuff strapped to the outside of the pack, but it's convenient, it works, and I'm happy with it like that. How I look when I'm in the hill, it doesn't matter to me. So what I'll do is, let's unpack this pack. So the first thing to come out is this large roll. So when I get back, I unroll it, and then I just put it to one side and let it air. That's the Z-light foam mat. So again, that got wet on the walk back, so I take that off and let that air. That's the other bit. So it's 1 piece, and I've just cut it down to 5 pieces. So I've just cut it down to 5 pieces, and however many pieces is on the other end, 7 I think. I've added bungee cord to the pack to give extra support. Big thank you to Chris Townsend for the sort of kind of indefinite loan of his snow shovel. I don't know what make this is. BCA, if anyone's interested. So basically you can take it apart. You could put it in the pack if you want to. It's a BCA Traverse shovel, backcountry access. So obviously, you know, you can shovel stuff with that. I didn't use it. There wasn't enough snow. So then we've got the Catula spikes. These are the Catula KTS crampons. I didn't use these because again there wasn't enough snow. I am going to look into maybe getting some different crampons to these, although Chris uses these and they're fine. It's just the skins that I have with these. I think the crampons I got like 10 odd years ago, and I've never used them. And I think they must have changed the design over the years, because the current skins don't actually fit completely properly. I'll have a play with them and I'll see, but I might be. They're very lightweight, and that's why Chris likes them. But I'll have a think and a play with that. So basically, I took an extra pouch which I didn't use. I took it because I was thinking I might put it on the outside of my GoPro pack for putting extra bits in, but in the end I didn't do that. Waterproof trousers. I took Paramo trousers, which in themselves are waterproof, but if it had got too cold, then I follow Chris's advice. He knows his stuff more than I do. And rather than wearing long johns under trousers, he likes to have over trousers. So, you know, if it's kind of like good enough for Chris, then it's certainly good enough for me. So even though I had Paramo, I took waterproof over trousers, one in case the rain got too much for them, and two, primarily, you know, if it got too cold, then I'd have extra insulation. I took this little tripod, because it's very, very lightweight. I'm not a big fan of that one, to be honest. I don't think it's very good. I took the ice axe. Again, we didn't need to use it. It wasn't required, but it was, you know, we had to take it in case. And then around here, I took there's about 8 snow pegs there. There's about 8 snow pegs. Chris has got 5. I wasn't sure how many I would need, so I put 8 in the hope that it would be, you know, enough. That's my water bottles. I've had those for donkeys. My dad brought those back from America. That's got Scottish Hill water. And no, I haven't filtered it. So within the next 5 minutes, I'm going to drop dead. Right. That's the poles for the Hillyberg. So I'll put those down there. They can dry out a little bit. That's my map. The last day it rained. So the map has got, it's a Harvey map. So they're printed on waterproof paper. So I'll just open that up and then that will dry out quickly enough. So that's, oh, and then one compass. I must admit, when I'm with Chris, I keep an eye on where we're going, but I tend to follow a bit more. That's my peg, so maybe just show you what pegs I took. That's my spoon. That's the infamous spoon, which you'll understand when you watch the video. And then that's my little holding thing for the phone. 2 platypus water bottles. I could probably do with getting open topped type of platypus things, really. So that's everything there. In the side pockets, I've got MLD event mitts. I've got my eyeglasses if I need to look where I'm going. And then in here, I've got and broken them. That's unless they might fit back. I actually think they might, hopefully. I'll have a look at that. Somehow my Oakley sunglasses I've managed to wreck, and one lens has come off, but the lens goes back in again. The lens I know will easily go back in again. And to be fair, I think yeah, so that's the lens back in again. I'm thinking the arm will fit. I'll have a look at that another time, but I don't think it's broken. There's nothing snapped. I think it will snap back in place. So that was in a side pocket. What food have I got left? We'll go through food left. So I've got 3 snack bars there left. That's the weather station. Pegs. I took, I think, about 4 Eastern pegs. I took 4 MSR groundhogs. I took 2 of those V pegs, they're the bigger, thicker ones. I took 4 of the slightly smaller V pegs. And I've got about 6 odd of the little shepherd hooks. So that's the peg. So I really could do with, I'll take them downstairs and just there's some mud on them. I don't normally bother, I don't wash them or anything, but there is some Scottish mud on there, so that's probably worth taking down. Okay, so now we'll go, now we're going to go inside. Right, behind you, which you can't see there, but behind you, there's a dehumidifier. So I keep the dehumidifier in here off, but when I come back from a camp, I turn it on, and then I leave it on for a day or maybe 2, and then that just helps keep the room dry. And then obviously what's in here, it helps dry everything out. So I took the Petzl head torch, and it's still showing 3 bars, and I used it for 2 nights and 1 evening of walking, and it's still got plenty of battery in it. Obviously it will need charging up. In here I've got the PhD Rondoy jacket. I'll maybe do a separate video on this one day, but I got this. Still feels nice and fresh. This is, it was ridiculously expensive, but was I thankful to have that in -7. So that was a very, very nice jacket. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to hang up there. I think what I'll do is, this is the Hillyberg, this is the Namage 2. So it's really wet. So I'm going to leave that in that bag just for the moment. Let's go through everything else, and then we'll kind of figure out what we do with that. That stuff sack is damp. So basically, I kind of put stuff sacks, and even if they're marginally damp, I kind of just put things loosely, you know, at the back there, and then, you know, then they can dry out. So I took those Montaigne gloves. I didn't wear these, but I took them just to be safe. There is some stuff I took that I didn't use. I took the buffalo mitts, but I didn't use them. I didn't need them. I took that Polartec hat. I did wear that a few times. And I seem to have 1 liner glove. I'm not quite sure why I've got what. Oh, there's the other one. And liner gloves, and I didn't use the liner gloves. And I took this Rab wind shirt, and surprise, surprise, I didn't use that either. But those are just a few things that are pretty light, you know, that I didn't use. There is some food left. I used the light on the second night when I thought about it. That's 1 meal that I didn't eat. That's my vitamins. That's some veggies that would have gone with that meal that I didn't eat. There's a little bit of tea and milk left over, and 2 more energy bars, which I would have had in the evening. So I had that left over, but I ate everything else, which consisted of many more energy bars, my own freeze-dried meal, and a packet of Ritz a packet of Ritz biscuits. So I ate most of my food. I took and used once these Exped over booties, so they're quite light. They were good. I was pleased with those. We're actually going to run out of room to put things in a minute, so they can go there. Rubbish, so always take your rubbish with you. I took gaiters. I didn't use them, but you know, it's definitely worth having gaiters with you, and then you can decide whether you need them or not. If we forded a couple of streams, the streams were at the end of the walk, so if we'd have got wet feet, it wouldn't have mattered too much because we weren't far from the car. But if the streams had been, you know, too big or at the start of the walk, then I would have probably put the gaiters on, and hopefully that would have given me a better chance to cross the river without getting, you know, wet feet maybe quite so quickly, if that makes any sense. Toilet paper. I used that mug because I just used that mug. I have got another one, but I used that one this time. I used this gas. I think there's quite a bit left in there. The only problem that I worry about gas is I don't know how much I've used. I don't know how much is in there. You know, for next time, there's probably, I don't know whether there's enough for 2 more days or not. That's why I, you know, skeptical about gas. So if I was using gas on another trip, I would probably take a fresh canister, and then on a local trip or something that didn't matter so much, then I would probably take that. I used the reactor stove. That worked very well, although it flared the first day. But chatting with Chris, probably because the gas was brand new, so it was probably just the gas that was causing it to flare. So but other than that, that worked very, very well, you know, with the reactor thing. So that obviously needs washing. That's first aid, repair, and just other bits and, you know, mainly first aid and repair stuff, and like a couple of emergency things. Another thing I took but I didn't need, I wasn't sure whether I would need it to keep warm. Interesting, some of these bags are, which shows actually how wet it was, that some bits in here did get slightly damp because it is a waterproof bag, but it was such a heavy rain, it can obviously some, I hadn't thought about that, obviously some rain had just got through the top. But that's why, you know, always try to put things in stuff sacks as well. So this was the Berghaus jacket that Chris was wearing. This is mine, but this is what Chris was wearing. But I got one because I found it at a good price, but I didn't wear it. I carried it in case it was cold and I needed, you know, extra insulation. I took the snow goggles, but I didn't need to use them. I took the X-Therm mat, and that was very comfortable. That's a nice pad. So I kind of just put that up there. I took snow things for the walking poles, but they weren't needed. These, obviously I've got 2, 1 for each wrist. These were amazing. I put my watch over the top of them, but basically these extremities, wristy things, I think these, along with how I was wearing gloves, occasionally I wore an over mitt, even though it wasn't raining, I would wear an over mitt over a glove. We'll come to gloves. The gloves are probably somewhere else, so that'll probably be in part 2. But these wristies, I think they really, really helped keep my hands warm, because it just kept the wrist warm, and I think that made a big difference, because I didn't really get cold hands. They went cool a couple of times, and I basically just left these on the entire time, apart from the very end of the walk. I didn't take them off at all. Even sleeping, I kept them on. And I think they made a big difference. They're marginally damp because I think I was wearing them when it was raining. And like I said, I took them off at the last minute. And then in the pack, inside a stuff sack, so all of this was inside a separate stuff sack rolled at the bottom. So this is like the critical stuff that you don't want to get wet. You know, your other stuff you're protecting as best as you can in stuff sacks. The bits we're taking out now, this is your nighttime stuff, and this you just don't want to get this wet under any circumstances. So my power packs I had in there. If it had been extra cold as it was on the first day, to be fair, I kept them in the pack. The second day, I put them in my pocket. The third day, it was warm walking back to the car, so I just put them in. I did take a load of cord and such like. I didn't use any of that, but I probably had too much, but I think it's better to have cord that you don't need. Pillow, obviously I used that. Buff, I didn't use it. That's a Power Stretch, Extremities Power, Polartec something or other. I didn't use that. But if it had been super, super cold, then I would have worn it. Senchi leggings, these seem to be the in thing now, so I was feeling a bit left out. So that's Senchi leggings. I did wear those, and I have to say, they were very nice. They're quite expensive, and you will get stung, unfortunately, with customs. But they are nice. Liner socks, which I wore in the sleeping bag the second night, not the first night. Bizarrely, the first night was -7 and I was quite warm and cozy, and for some bizarre reason I was getting a bit too warm, so I took these off, but I left the leggings on, and I was in a -21 bag. So go and figure this one out. The second night, it was about +4, and I left them on. I don't know. There's no rhyme nor reason, just madness. Right, then I think the next thing is my sleeping bag. So this is my PhD sleeping bag. And it's still, even though it's about 10 or 12 years old, boot sniffing, sleeping bag and jacket sniffing. Even though it's old, I've had it a long time now, it still smells really nice. It smells the same as the down jacket. I don't know how or why, because I've had it so long, but it still smells so fresh. But this is my -21 sleeping bag. to be fair, I wouldn't go anywhere near -21 in it. I would be cold. But I was very comfortable at -7 with the Namage and the door open all night. I didn't close the door. It was -6 odd, you know, in the Namage, and I was very cozy in this without socks on. Yeah, very, very cozy. So what I will do with that, we're starting to get a little bit cramped in here, and of course I got recording stuff and filming stuff in here now. So we'll hang this up. The tent I probably might end up hanging in a different. The trouble is though, I've got 2 cats, and this is really the only room that is off limits, you know, to the cats. for obvious reasons. The mat is already almost dry just in the time that we've been, you know, talking. I've not opened it up fully, so I think it just needs opening up completely, and then that will probably finish drying in a minute. It's already nearly dry. Right, so this is the stuff sack that I had at the bottom. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of stuff there. Right, what else have we got in here? So I did take a little floor mat, you know, just in case it was needed, but I didn't use that either. Like I said, sometimes I like to put something down, not a footprint, but sometimes I like something in the porch just to put things on. But there was so much room in the Namage, it really wasn't needed. But given it's only a few grams, it didn't really matter. These leggings, oh boy. These are the Rondoy leggings. Now, yes, they are ridiculously expensive. Yes, I had to buy them. But it's just worth, as I say in the video, it's just, you know, it's just worth it for, you know, comfort. You know, it was -7 and I could put these on and I didn't have to jump into the sleeping bag, which I have to say was actually quite nice. The sleeping bag will need a little bit of drying out. The jackets and stuff, they haven't really been exposed to any dampness as such, but obviously the sleeping bag, that will have had some, you know, condensation or what have you. The MLD sleeping bag liner, I didn't need it, but it's 60 odd 70 grams, it's a no-brainer to take it. The MLD Zero booties, you know, 200 plus pounds, but they kept my feet very, very cozy, and they're ridiculously light. So they're used for like Arctic explorations and such like, but they were fine, very cozy for me. Okay, I took this, but I didn't actually wear this because I basically just kept on what I was wearing. But if it had got damp or, you know, I'd have needed to have changed, and I would have changed. But in the sleeping bag at night when I was sleeping, both nights, nothing was any different. I had a merino base layer. I had the Arrow shirt and the vaporized jacket, and that was what I wore in bed. So I just wore the same stuff the entire time. I had the Century Designs top, but I didn't use it. There are, like I said, you know, I think, but in the winter I just think it's better to take some stuff that you may not need. That's the PhD Greenlandic bivy bag. Again, that's more for emergency use, or if there had have been condensation in the tent, which I don't know why everybody gets condensation, but I didn't need it and never have. But in the winter, in the Scottish Highlands, or somewhere, you know, more remote than just 5 minutes from your car, you need a bivy bag in the winter. And another thing that I will add in for next time, even if I don't need them, is waterproof socks, because I noticed that Chris had those. He didn't wear them, but as he said, if your boots get flooded, your socks get wet, a waterproof sock, you can change into that, and then at least you've got dry feet inside your boot, and then I guess a 10, 20, 30% chance of your boots drying out eventually, maybe, and maybe you could dry your sock somehow or other. But so that is something that I will add in. Another a balaclava. Again, I didn't wear that one, but it was there in case it was needed. Yes, I know a few of you like to have a joke about your in case, and I'm the first one to agree with you. A lot of stuff that you don't need, and you can thin a lot of things out. But in the middle of the Scottish Highlands, you know, when you're nowhere near the car, well, not easily anyway, for comfort, I just think it's wise to have one or two extra things. A buff, I didn't use that. That was my towel, didn't need it. And then a beanie hat for night or emergency use, didn't use that either. I did take that stuff sack for some bizarre reason, didn't use it, and then obviously that's the stuff sack for that. So that's everything from the bag. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to take the Hilleberg out, and I'm basically going to hang it up along here. I've got these, you can't see that one there, I've got these carabiners across the top, so I will hang it up there. I'll clear these bags out the way that are down here. So these bags down here, which we'll go through in the next video, I will just clear that away. So then the sleeping bag, then the tent, I will just sort of hang across here. It's quite wet, but when I did this room up, I deliberately put lino on the ground, so any drips just land on the lino and then it just dries out anyway. And then either tomorrow or the next couple of days, we'll go through all the other bits. This I needed to get out because it's wet, or you know, it needs airing. The tent needs drying. We'll go through the other bits in the next part and then we can decide or discuss why those bits were left behind maybe, and why we took some of these bits here. But what I took and what I used, I have to say, you know, performed very, very well. I was very happy and impressed with everything that I took and used. All right, I'll see you in the next part. Thanks very much for watching.